Josie, what's your question, babe?
Do we have questions today to
If
answer?
we're going to post questions for you guys, I want you to try and do the questions. Virtual kids, you'll definitely be able to do them. My classroom kids, be good listeners and answer the questions as best you can remember, because I know you guys, some of you don't have your books at home with you. Parker, I don't hear you. If you're talking, I don't hear you. But I'm sorry. And it's still been really slow about 21 minutes. As soon okay, here we go.
Miss Bab,
Parker's looking.
is the packet for the next 2 weeks or for today?
Oh no, it's for like I think it's for the next 2. I have no idea what's in you guys' packet because Miss Watson went in our classroom and went through all my papers and put that together. So I honestly couldn't tell you exactly what's in the packet or what it looks like. I haven't seen it, Miss Watson, since I couldn't go back to the building like you guys. Miss Watson put it together, but I think it's everything for like the next week, at least this week. So don't worry about doing any of it until I tell you to do it. Okay. So don't try and work ahead and go through the entire packet and do it. Just wait until I tell you to do it, because now that we found out that the whole school, I don't know if you guys saw, the whole school's going red. So everybody's going home next week, and that's going to change our schedule again. And that's going to change how I teach. We're not going to have these live meetings all the time for like 2 whole weeks. They told us not to. So we're still going to do what we're doing right now for the rest of this week, but then everything's going to change again. So just bear with me. Okay. But for today, right now, we're going to finish Tuck. So here we go. When we left off, Winnie had switched places with May, and she is in the jail cell, and she looked out the window and the Tucks are gone. So here we go. It's the final chapter. The first week of August was long over. And now, though autumn was still some weeks away, there was a feeling that the year had begun its downward arc, that the wheel was turning again, slowly now, but soon to go faster, turning once more in its changeless sweep of change. Winnie, standing at the fence in front of the Touch-Me-Not cottage, could hear the new note in the voices of the birds. Whole clouds of them lifted, chattering into the sky above the wood, and then settled only to lift again. Across the road, goldenrod was coming into bloom, and an early drying milkweed had opened its rough pod, exposing a host of downy-headed seeds. As she watched, one of these detached itself into a sudden breeze and sailed sedately off, while others leaned from the pod as if to observe its departure. Winnie dropped down cross-legged on the grass. 2 weeks had gone by since the night of the storm, the night of May Tuck's escape, and May had not been found. There was no trace of her at all, or of Tuck, or Miles, or Jessie. Winnie was profoundly grateful for that, but she was also profoundly tired. It had been a trying 2 weeks. For the 100th time, she reviewed it all. How the constable had come into the cell soon after she had settled herself onto the cot, how he had let down a shutter over the window to keep out the rain, how then he had stood over her as she hunched under the blanket, her breath heavy, trying to look as large as possible, how finally he had gone away and not come back till morning. But she had not dared to sleep, for fear she would kick off the blanket and give herself away, give the Tucks away unwittingly. So she had lain there, pulse thudding, eyes wide open. She would never forget the rattle of the rain on the jailhouse roof, or the smell of wet wood, or the darkness that had saved them all, or how difficult it was not to cough. She had wanted to cough as soon as it occurred to her that she mustn't. And she passed a long hour trying to swallow away the tickle that perversely constricted her throat. And she would never forget the crash outside that made her heart race, that she could not investigate and did not understand till morning, when on the way home she saw that the gallows had blown over in the wind. But, oh, it made her tremble still to remember the constable's face when he found her. She had heard first a bustling in the front of the jail and smelled fresh coffee and had sat up stiff with apprehension. Then the inner door opened, the door, she now saw, which separated the office from the pair of cells, and in the light that streamed before him, the constable appeared carrying a breakfast tray. He was whistling cheerfully. He came up to the barred door of her cell and looked in, and his whistling died on his lips as if it had run down and needed to be wound up again. But this comical astonishment lasted for a moment only. and then his face flushed red with anger. Winnie had sat on the cot, eyes downcast, feeling very small and very like a criminal. In fact, he was shouting that if she were older, he'd have to keep her there, that it was a crime what she had done. She was an accomplice. Somebody needs to mute, please. Thank you. She had helped a murderer escape. She was, in fact, a criminal, but too young to be punished by the law. Worse luck, he told her, for she badly needed punishing. She was released then into the custody of her mother and father, and these new words, accomplice and custody, chilled her blood. Over and over they asked her, shocked at first and then wistful. Why had she done such a thing? Why? She was their daughter. They had trusted her. They had tried to bring her up properly with a true sense of right and wrong. They did not understand. And finally, she had sobbed the only truth there was into her mother's shoulder, the only explanation. The Tucks were her friends. She had done it because, in spite of everything, she loved them. This of all things her family understood, and afterward they drew together staunchly around her. It was hard for them in the village, Winnie knew it was, and the knowledge gave her pain, for they were proud, and she had shamed them. Still, this side of the affair was not without its benefits, at least for Winnie. Though she was confined to the yard indefinitely and could go nowhere, not even with her mother or grandmother, the other children wandered by to look at her, to talk to her through the fence. They were impressed by what she had done. She was a figure of romance to them now, where before she had been too neat, too prissy, almost somehow too clean to be a real friend. Pausing there. Why do you guys think now all of a sudden they're interested in Winnie? They said that she was too prissy, too clean, too neat to be a friend, but now they are interested. They're all walking by her fence. They all want to talk to her. Why do you guys think that this is? Vivian, I see your hand raised.
Maybe because they know that she's always been inside the fence, like she's never gone outside the fence.
Right. So now she maybe has something interesting to talk about. She's finally one of them. She's like them. Josie, what else? I see your hand raised.
She's seen things that they haven't, and that's the most interesting thing. And they want to be her friend because she's cool now. She did a bunch of stuff. She broke someone out of jail. Like, that's bad, but cool. I mean, like, if they were super boring and then they did something super cool, you would want to be their friend.
Right. Yeah. Even though what she did was technically really bad, it's definitely the most interesting thing that's probably happened in Tree Gap in a long, long time. And definitely the most interesting thing that a kid has probably done around there. And of all people, boring old Winnie was the one that did it. So, yeah. Jason, I see your hand raised.
Why don't you just do it the old-fashioned way? You usually bring a suitcase of goods to the person. You can drop off the goods, put your person in the suitcase, bring them out. Why couldn't they just do it the old-fashioned way?
I think May's too big to put in a suitcase, dearest, but you know. All right, carrying on. All right.
These backgrounds are cool.
Yeah. Okay. Carrying on. Winnie sighed and plucked at the grass around her ankles. Remute, everybody. School would open soon. It wouldn't be so bad. In fact, she thought as her spirits lifted, this year it might be rather nice. And then two things happened. First of all, the toad appeared out of the weeds, on her side of the road this time. It bounced out over a cover of old dandelion leaves and landed, plop, just beyond the fence. If she had reached her hand through the bars, she could have touched it. And next, a large brown dog with easy gait and dangling tongue came loping down the road toward them. He stopped opposite the fence and looked at Winnie with a friendly swish of his tail, and then he saw the toad. At once he began to bark, his eyes bright. He pranced up, his hindquarters leaping independently from side to side, nose close to the toad, his voice shrill with enthusiasm. "Don't!" cried Winnie, leaping to her feet and flapping her arms. "Go away, dog! Stop that! Go away! Shoo!" The dog paused. He looked up at Winnie's frantic dancing, and then he looked back at the toad, who had pressed down close to the dirt, eyes tight shut, It was too much for him. He began to bark again, and he reached out a long paw. "Oh," cried Winnie. "Oh, don't do that. Leave my toad alone." And before she had time to realize what she was doing, she bent, reached through the bars, and snatched the toad up and away from harm, dropping it on the grass inside the fence. A feeling of revulsion swept through her. While the dog whined, pawing uselessly at the fence, she stood rigid, staring at the toad, wiping her hand again and again on the skirt of her dress. Then she remembered the actual feel of the toad, and the revulsion passed. She knelt and touched the skin of the back. It was rough and soft both at once, and cool. Winnie stood up and looked at the dog. He was waiting outside the fence, his head on one side, peering at her longingly. "It's my toad," Winnie told him, "so you'd better leave it alone." And then, on an impulse, she turned and ran into the cottage, up to her room, to the bureau drawer where she had hidden Jessie's bottle, the bottle of water from the spring. In a moment, she was back again. The toad still squatted where she had dropped it. The dog still waited at the fence. Winnie pulled out the cork from the mouth of the bottle, and kneeling, she poured the precious water very slowly and carefully over the toad. The dog watched this operation, and then, yawning, he was suddenly bored. He turned and loped away back down the road to the village. Winnie picked up the toad and held it for a long time, without the least disgust, in the palm of her hand. It sat calmly, blinking, and the water glistened on its back. The little bottle was empty now. It lay on the grass at Winnie's feet. But if all of it was true, there was more water in the wood. There was plenty more, just in case. When she was 17, if she should decide, there was more water in the wood. Winnie smiled. Then she stooped and put her hand through the fence and set the toad free. "There," she said, "you're safe forever." Epilogue. There's still more, thank goodness. Okay. Hang on, we're going to pause there. What do you guys think about that decision? She totally just poured the water on the toad. What? My brain exploded last year when we got to this part. Cam, I haven't heard from you yet this morning. What do you think?
I don't think that was a very smart decision. I mean, I feel like she was wasting it. I mean, everything has to die at some point.
Okay. Yeah, so it seems like kind of a waste to pour it on the toad. Vivian, I see your hand. What do you think, babe?
I think that's kind of a waste of it because, like, I mean, after 2 times she broke out of her house, why, like, her parents must be really watching her now. So how would she go and get the water?
Right. So now, yeah, there's more water in the woods, but how is she going to get to it? Fiona, what do you think?
If she's gonna get back to the water when she gets older, she'll probably be able to get back there. So as she gets older, she'll be able to get more independence again.
Okay, so you think she'll earn back some independence, probably. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any commentary? I can only see 9 of you on my screen, and there are 19 of you on the call. Jason, go ahead.
Well, she could have just poured open its mouth, pour a little in there, and then save the rest for you.
Okay.
Well, the toads don't drink through their mouths. They absorb water through their skin.
Yeah, so they do absorb the water through their skin. So that does mean that the toad absorbed the water. So, but does it work on a toad? Do you think the water would work on a toad?
Yeah, I'm guessing
Lily's
so, yeah.
shaking her head no, but I hear somebody saying yeah.
Zeke, turn on the camera, and then she can see you.
I have my camera on. It's not working.
No,
Okay,
you're
well, Zeke, go ahead. Hey, Jason, Zeke, go ahead.
Yeah, my
There you
camera's not
are.
working.
You're on the beach too.
But so
That's fine.
why am I on the beach? I didn't even do that. But
That's okay.
yeah, why did she use all the water on the toad or just
Yeah, I
some of
said
it?
the bottle laid empty on the grass beside her. So she poured all that water on the toad.
Really? That's dumb.
That was kind of my thought last year. We were all a little disappointed last year with that. Vivian, you've got more to share? Control D to unmute.
Wait, did you call me?
Yeah, Vivian.
So I think that the water would work on that toad because they said it's kind of like a sponge. And when she poured the water, it would like go into the frog.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah, he'll absorb it in the skin. Parker, what are your thoughts? I see your hand raised.
I think she went through all that trouble just to waste all the water on that toad.
Yeah.
And I was kind of surprised when you said that.
Yeah, I was surprised last year when I read this for the first time with last year's group. It seems like, yeah, she had this whole big adventure, went through all of this stuff to protect the secret, and then she just pours the water on a toad of all things, the toad.
Miss Bab.
Why do you think it was important? Why do you think it was important for her to keep the toad safe? Josie.
Because it was like her first friend. Like, it meant something to her. Though it's just a toad, it meant something to her because it was the first thing that helped her, like, give her feelings out. And then because she did that, then she could do everything else. It just led up to that. And the toad was just her first friend, and she wanted to protect it.
Absolutely, I agree. All right, Jason.
So the thing, what Josie said, it's like it's her. Like if she needs therapy, she'll go talk to that. That's what she talks to. She needs therapy. And what I was also gonna wait, what was I? Well, I forgot what else I was gonna.
I like the idea that the toad is her therapy. That's kind of funny how you worded that. Okay, let's read the epilogue because it's not quite over here.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say. If they have another book, because there probably is another book, because there's a cliffhanger, the next one should
It's not a cliffhanger. I got an epilogue for you, baby.
Oh, well, if there was, it should be The Everlasting Frog.
And just the adventures of the toad. All right. Well, don't worry, because I'm not done with the Tucks. I'm not done with Winnie, and I'm not done with the toad either. So, epilogue. Here we go. The sign said, "Welcome to Tree Gap," but it was hard to believe that this was really Tree Gap. The main street hadn't changed so very much, but there were many other streets now crossing the main street. The road itself was blacktop. There was a white line painted down its center. Hang on, pause. Sean, yes, sir, I see your hand raised.
I know how to make it where you can see everybody.
I have everybody on my screen now. I fixed it finally, but thank you. All right, so Tree Gap's starting to look a little bit more modern, it sounds like. May and Tuck, on a single clattering wooden wagon, bumped slowly into Tree Gap behind the fat old horse. They had seen continuous change and were accustomed to it, but here it seemed shocking and sad. "Look," said Tuck. "Look, May, ain't that where the wood used to be? It's gone. Not a stick or a stump left. And her cottage, that's gone too." It was very hard to recognize anything, but from the little hill which had once lain outside the village and was now very much a part of it, they thought they could figure things out. "Yes," and May, "that's where it was, I do believe. Of course, it's been so long since we was here, I can't tell for certain." There was a gas station there now. A young man in greasy coveralls was polishing the windshield of a wide and rusty Hudson automobile. As May and Tuck rolled past, the young man grinned and said to the driver of the Hudson, who lounged at the wheel, "Looky there, in from the country for a big time." And they chuckled together. So it sounds like we've fast forwarded a number of years, right? Because before, people rode horses and there weren't businesses like that, but now there's an actual gas station. The road is paved. Parker, I see your hand raised.
I think they fast forward 7 years, and since May was 10 and now she's 17, I feel like she's gonna go outside and drink the water, and then they're gonna go with Jesse. She's gonna go with Jesse.
May was definitely not 10.
But hang on, Zeke, I see your hand raised. Hang on. Zeke, I see your hand raised. Zekel? Oh, Zekel. We can't hear you, Zekel.
Okay, so I think that since the population got bigger and everything, that someone told the secret, because why would everyone come there all of a sudden?
Okay,
Or maybe people were just exploring.
maybe.
But
Okay.
that would be a
She
lot
told-
of explorers.
But rewind. It says that the woods and the cottage is gone. So the Foster's house is gone and the woods are gone. So this is interesting to me. All right. Yes, Zeke left. Okay.
So
yeah, Jason.
the man in the yellow suit did say he was gonna sell the spring.
But he died.
I
And
thought
so,
he just
the Fosters, yeah, so the Fosters kept their own woods, but their cottage is gone and the woods are gone. So let me keep reading. May and Tuck clattered on into the village proper, past a Catholic mixture of houses, which soon gave way to shops and other places of business. A hot dog stand, a dry cleaner, a pharmacy, a 5 and 10, another gas station, a tall white frame building with a pleasant veranda, the Tree Gap Hotel, family dining, easy rates, the post office. Beyond that, the jailhouse, but a larger jailhouse now, painted brown, with an office for the county clerk. A black and white police car was parked in front, with a red glass searchlight on its roof and a radio antenna like a buggy whip fastened to the windshield. May glanced at the jailhouse, but looked away quickly. See beyond there, she said, pointing. That diner? Let's stop there and get a cup of coffee, all right? All right, said Tuck. Maybe they'll know something. So it sounds like we've fast forwarded quite a bit, and the town has like just grown naturally over time. People have come there, and the town is growing, and as things change, we've had in the invention of automobiles, and they have modern businesses now that they didn't used to have before. So I think we fast forwarded quite a while. I think Parker's right. Winnie's definitely at least 17, maybe even more. Josie, yes, ma'am.
I don't think she took it. I think that she probably just thought that it was not real and also that it wasn't worth it. That she wanted to just have a great life and not need to worry about any of that. And I don't think she took it. And I think it fast forwarded a while. You don't really see people living in cottages. Pretty much it's just asphalt, road, car, highway.
Right. So it's definitely like the future now from what it was at the beginning of this book. And so Josie thinks that maybe when he didn't take it, maybe what Tuck said to her got through to her, like that the life wouldn't be worth living if you didn't die at the end of it. So, all right, let's see. Inside, the diner gleamed with chrome and smelled like linoleum and ketchup. May and Tuck took seats on rumbling swivel stools at the long counter. The counterman emerged from the kitchen at the rear and sized them up expertly. They looked all right, a little queer maybe, but their clothes especially, but honest. He slapped a cardboard menu down in front of them and leaned on the phone with the cooler. You folks from off? He asked. Yep, said Tuck, just passing through. Sure, said the counterman. Say, said Tuck cautiously, fingering the menu, didn't there used to be a wood once down the other side of town? Sure, said the counterman. Had a big electrical storm, though, about 3 years ago now and thereabouts. Big tree. Got hit by lightning. Split right down the middle. Caught fire and everything. Tore up the ground, too. Had to bulldozer all out. Just which tree by chance, big tree, do you think got struck by lightning? Parker?
I think it was the one with the water inside of it and stuff.
Yeah. The big ash tree that had the spring next to it. I think so too.
Yes.
Okay. Had the bulldozer all out. Oh, said Tuck. He and May exchanged glances. Coffee, please, said May. Black for both of us. Sure, said the counterman. He took the menu away, poured coffee into thick pottery mugs, and leaned against the orangeade cooler. Used to be a freshwater spring in that wood, said Tuck boldly, sipping his coffee. Don't know nothing about that, said the counterman. Had the bulldozer all out, like I say. Oh, said Tuck. Afterward, while May was shopping for supplies, Tuck went back through the town on foot, back the way they had come, out to the little hill. There were houses there now and a feed and grain store, but on the far side of the hill, inside a rambling iron fence, was a cemetery. Tuck's heart quickened. He had noticed the cemetery on the way in. May had seen it too. They had not spoken about it, but both knew it might hold the other answers. Tuck straightened his old jacket. He passed through an archway of wrought iron curlicues and paused, squinting at the weedy rows of gravestones. And then, far over to the right, he saw a tall monument, once no doubt imposing, but now tipped slightly sideways. On it was carved one name, Foster. Slowly, Tuck turned his footsteps toward the monument and saw, as he approached, that there were other smaller markers all around it, a family plot, and then his throat closed, for it was there. He had wanted it to be there, but now he saw it. He was overcome with sadness. He knelt and read the inscription. In loving memory, Winifred Foster Jackson, dear wife, dear mother, 1870 to 1948. Said Tuck to himself, so, 2 years. She's been gone 2 years. So it's 1950 right now. He stood up and looked around, embarrassed, trying to clear the lump from his throat. But there was no one to see him. The cemetery was very quiet. In the branches of a willow behind him, a red-winged blackbird chirped. Tuck wiped his eyes hastily. Then he straightened his jacket again and drew up his hand in a brief salute. Good girl, he said aloud, and then he turned and left the cemetery, walking quickly. Later, as he and May rolled out of tree gap, May said softly without looking at him, She's gone? Tuck nodded. She's gone, he answered. Then there was a long moment of silence between them, and then May said, Poor Jessie. Why poor Jessie? Why are they saying poor Jessie? Why do you guys think? Parker, you're all over it with the answer. Go for it.
I think
I know why.
I feel like Winnie got married to him, but she didn't drink the water because she died. So it was like Miles' wife and husband when he was married. So like she died, he's still alive, and all that other stuff. Yeah.
Possibly. I don't think she married Jessie though, because on the headstone it says her last name, Winifred Foster Jackson. If she had married Jessie, her last name would be Tuck. Cam, what do you think? I see your hand raised. Gray, you're going to want to rewind this video and watch the playback or read the other chapters. Yeah. Cam, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a spoiler.
Yeah, totally.
What is that? She did not drink the water, and they stayed away for so long that when they finally came back, she was already gone. And she married somebody else. She had kids. She just went on with her life.
Well, we don't know she
didn't come back when she was 17. So.
Okay, no, Lily, I see your hand raised.
We know she had kids because it says dear wife, dear mother. So it means that she had kids.
Right. Yeah, she definitely had kids, dear wife and dear mother. Lily, go ahead.
What? She married a girl?
No.
Well, why does it say dear wife and dear dad? Dear
Jason,
mother and dear dad.
She's not a dad. She's a mother. It didn't say anything about it. Jason, enough. Lily, go ahead.
So Jessie and Winnie were friends and they liked each other, so he's probably sad.
Yeah, because what did Jessie want to happen?
Them to get married.
Jessie Right. Jessie wanted to marry Winnie when she got old enough. And I guess maybe he's just been waiting this whole time to see if she drank the water to be with him. And no, she didn't. Cam, Yes, ma'am.
In other words, he loved her.
What's up?
He loved her.
Yeah, he did. He did. All right. And so, and May and Tuck, they knew that. And so they're like, poor Jesse, because they don't want to have to tell him that Winnie's gone. Right? Okay. Poor Jesse, May said. He knowed it though, said Tuck. At least he knowed she wasn't coming. We all knew that a long time ago. Just the same, said May. She sighed. And then she sat up a little straighter. Well, where to now, Tuck? No need to come back here no more. That's so, said Tuck. Let's just head on out this way. We'll locate something. All right, said May. And then she put a hand on his arm and pointed. Look out for that toad. Tuck had seen it too. He reined in the horse and climbed down from the wagon. The toad was squatting in the middle of the road, quite unconcerned. In the other lane, a pickup truck rattled by, and against the breeze it made, the toad shut its eyes tightly, but it did not move. Tuck waited till the truck had passed, and then he picked up the toad and carried it to the weeds along the road's edge. Darn fool thing must think he's going to live forever, he said to May. And soon they were rolling on again, leaving Tree Gap behind. And as they went, the tinkling little melody of a music box drifted out behind them and was lost at last far down the road. The end. Darn fool toad thinks he's going to live forever. Oh, is he going to live forever? Can the toad get run over? Yeah.
Yes, he will live
He's going to live
forever.
forever.
Yeah. All right, friends. There you have it. We are done with Tuck. What I need you to do today, a couple of things. You do have questions. You should have questions on Seesaw, and you need to take your Tuck AR test today. Okay. So Tuck AR and your questions for Tuck. That's what I want you guys to work on for the next little bit. It should be loaded on everybody's Seesaw. And then so get off of this call. And then in 20 minutes, we'll log back on and we'll do some math review. Okay. Josie, I see your hand raised. Yeah.
What's our next book gonna be?
Well, them changing us to red changed everything. We're still gonna be working with Tuck for the whole next week. I think we're gonna have some like follow-up projects and things that we're gonna do. So we're still gonna be working for Tuck the whole next week. And then I think after Thanksgiving, we're gonna read a story called The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. I believe. We're ordering copies of it, I think, so that everybody can have a copy to have at home or at school or whatever. Hopefully we're back in school after Thanksgiving. For now, for today, the rest of this week and next, we're still going to be doing stuff with Tuck, different projects and things with Tuck. So for today, go ahead and do your questions. Don't worry about the vocab words. We're not going to do vocab words for today, but do the questions and then take your Tuck AR test. Okay. So I'm going to stop recording. Jason, no.
I have two things. Wait, so when are we going back to school?
I don't know.
I think it's like December 1st.
Well, I don't know yet. We'll have to just wait and see because with coronavirus and everything, everything's constantly changing. You guys originally were told you could come back on the 20th, but then the whole district just went to red. So now nobody's coming back until after Thanksgiving at the earliest, but I don't know exactly when. So what I would say is just be patient and we will find out. And as soon as I know, I will let you guys know, but I don't know anything more than you guys and what we found out on the all call last night. So I'm sure Mr. Johnson will give us more information as he knows it. But we kind of got to see what happens with coronavirus and if the cases slow down and calm down, because if it stays as much as it is right now, it's still not necessarily going to be safe to go back yet. So, all right.
My other thing, if he gets ran over, well, if the toad, I thought the toad was going to get ran over, but if the toad does get ran over, how does it still live if it's mush?
It's not. It has the magical spring water. It won't actually turn to mush. Okay, Vivian, I see your hand raised.
When's our next meeting?